Welcome to the Dakota County CDA's new admissions briefing for the HUD-VASH program. The funding for HUD-VASH is received from the Department of Housing and Urban Development. As a participant of VASH, you will have the same housing assistance benefits as a Housing Choice Voucher Program participant, but you will also receive case management services from the VA. Program policies. Income. The CDA calculates your income for an entire year. The CDA may use your history of earnings to project future earnings. The CDA will review any reported changes in your income to determine if a new calculation is necessary. Reporting changes as an applicant. You are considered an applicant until a payment has been made on your behalf. Report changes in writing as soon as they occur. Changes in your income could impact your eligibility for the program. Contact the CDA immediately upon an increase in income, for example, employment. The CDA redetermines eligibility through the lease-up process. Changes in your income can impact your ability to rent a unit, and changes in your household composition could impact the size of unit you can rent. Reporting changes as a participant. Report changes in writing within 30 days. Income changes. Report all increases and decreases in your income within 30 days. Report all money coming into the home for yourself or any household member. The CDA will notify you in writing if your change in income results in a change in your rent portion. If you do not report changes timely, you may be required to pay back money to the CDA. Household composition changes. Report the birth, adoption, and court-awarded custody of children. The CDA must approve additions to your household. You must request in writing to add members to your household. Do not move anyone in unless you are authorized by the CDA. Guests cannot stay for more than 15 days in any 12-month period of time. Give the CDA prior written notice if you will have a guest for more than 15 days in any 12-month period. You are not allowed to be out of your unit for more than 30 days unless medically necessary. Provide the CDA prior written notice if you will be away from your unit for a period of time. Earned income verification. The CDA has access to the EIV system through HUD to verify income information for participants on the HCV program. The system provides new hire reports from employers, wages reported from employers to the IRS, unemployment benefits paid, and Social Security benefits paid. Make sure that you are reporting all income information to the CDA for all household members in the assisted unit. Moving. You will not be allowed to move until you have received assistance in the assisted unit for 1 year. After the initial 12 months, you will only be allowed to move with continued assistance if you leave your unit in good standing. We will not assist you in a new unit if you have damaged the unit beyond normal wear and tear, have not given proper notice, or owe money to your landlord or the CDA. Portability. Your Housing Choice Voucher is transferable throughout the United States. However, there must be a VA office that is willing to work with you. If you move out of Dakota County, your housing assistance might be delayed due to the time it takes to transfer your file. Be prepared to pay your first month's full rent. You must be income eligible in the area that you transfer. If you would like to move outside of the Minneapolis VA's jurisdiction, please discuss your move with your VASH case manager and CDA housing specialist. Family obligations. Attend appointments and cooperate with the inspections process. Supply true and complete information required to calculate your rent amount and determine eligibility. comply with the conditions of your lease, refrain from illegal drugs and criminal activities. This includes all household members and guests in your assisted unit. Report all changes to the CDA in writing within 30 days. Avoid threatening or abusive behavior toward your landlord, neighbors, and CDA staff. Pay rent on time. Properly maintain your unit. Follow community rules and regulations. Provide proper notice to your landlord before vacating your unit. You cannot have duplicate federal, state, or local housing assistance. Eviction. Make sure you follow the terms of your lease. You will lose your housing assistance if you get evicted. Unlawful detainers or evictions are placed on your permanent rental history. Unit requirements. The CDA must determine if a unit is affordable based on your income. The CDA must determine if the rent is reasonable compared to other similar rental units in the area. The CDA must conduct and pass a housing quality standards inspection. You cannot own or have any ownership interest in the unit in which you are being assisted. Your landlord cannot live in your rental unit. You cannot rent from a relative. The assisted unit must be your only residence. Fair housing. Property managers cannot deny housing based on these classes: race, gender, age, marital status, disability, religion, sexual orientation, and public assistance status. If you feel that you have been discriminated against, file a fair housing complaint by visiting HUD's Office of Fair Housing and Equal Opportunity website at the address listed on the screen. Expanding housing opportunities. The CDA recommends selecting a unit in an area with lower levels of poverty. Please refer to the poverty level map in your folder. Housing Quality Standards Inspection. The CDA must conduct an inspection of your unit before an assistance payment can be made. The inspector will conduct initial inspections on the first business day of the month between 8 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. If the unit is vacant prior to the first, the inspector will attempt to set up an inspection with the property owner. We cannot inspect the unit until the previous tenants have moved out of the property. Tenant's responsibility with the inspection process. It is your responsibility to make sure the inspector has access to your unit. Be at the unit to let the inspector in on the first business day of the month if you have been given keys or access to the unit. Have another adult, someone at least 18 years old, present to let the inspector in if you are not available. If you have on-site property management and they are available during the hours of 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m., you can make arrangements with them to let the CDA inspector into your unit in your absence. You will need to provide written permission for the owner to enter the unit. The inspector will attempt to get into your unit 3 times. You must cooperate with the inspections process, otherwise you will not be eligible for assistance. Prorated assistance. If the unit does not pass or is done after the first day of the month, assistance will not begin until the day the inspection is passed or completed. The CDA rent portion will be prorated based on the number of days the inspection failed. For example, if the unit passes on the 5th of the month, we will reduce our payment because the unit was in failed condition for 4 days. Inspection checklist. Test smoke and carbon monoxide detectors. Check that all outlets and switches are tight and there are no cracked or broken plates. Make sure all lights that came with the globes have them and there are no open light sockets. Check all window locks, screens, glass, and operation. Run all faucets and check for leaks at the faucet and drain piping. Check that the garbage disposal is working. Check that all burners and the oven works and all knobs and handles are on the stove. Walk the unit and check for tripping hazards like worn or loose carpet and TV cables. Flush toilets and check that the seats are not broken. Check the bathtub for leaks, missing tiles, drainage, and mold. Check exit signs in the building, verify current tags on extinguishers, and test emergency lighting. Check the site and common areas for debris and condition of buildings. Lead-based paint. If the unit you select was built before 1978 and you have children under age 6, there must not be any chipped or peeling paint inside or outside the rental property. If children ingest lead paint, they can suffer from lower intelligence, learning disabilities, and behavioral issues. Lead-based paint must be removed properly to decrease health hazards. When properly maintained and managed, this paint poses little risk. If the rental property you have selected has chipped or peeling paint and was built before 1978, contact the landlord to see if the property has been tested for lead paint. Paperwork. Debts owed to the CDA. If you are terminated from the Housing Assistance Program, the CDA will report to HUD the reason for termination and if you owe the CDA any money. This information can be shared with other housing authorities and may prevent you from receiving assistance in the future. Refer to the form and sign as indicated on the screen. Voucher. You have 120 days from the date you receive your voucher to find suitable housing. This is the maximum amount of search time. If you are a person with a disability, you may request a reasonable accommodation for additional search time. Documentation may be required. Refer to the form on the screen, print your name, sign, and date as indicated by the arrow. Statement of Tenant Responsibilities. Must be signed by all members of the household that are 18 years and older. By signing this, you understand that false statements or information are punishable under federal law. False statements or information are grounds for termination and can result in theft and fraud charges under the state and federal law. The signature on this form indicates that you understand all the policies and statements on pages 1 and 2. Refer to the form on the screen and sign as indicated by the arrow. Terminology. The contract rent is the total rent charged by an owner. Bedroom size is the actual size of the unit. Voucher size is the number of bedrooms the CDA will subsidize. Utilities are the utility allowances determined by the CDA. The gross rent is the contract rent plus the utility allowance. Payment standard is the most the CDA can subsidize for a specific voucher size. Refer to the screen for the current Dakota County CDA payment standards. Renting a unit. You can rent a unit with more bedrooms than stated on the voucher. However, we will only use the payment standard that you are eligible for. If a household rents a unit with fewer bedrooms than stated on the voucher, there must not be more than 2 persons per living or sleeping area. Utility allowances. Most tenants are responsible for paying some utilities in addition to paying rent. The CDA determines the utility allowance, which is added to the rent amount and used to figure out your maximum rent limit. Determine the utility allowance. Need to know which utilities the tenant pays for, the fuel sources, bedroom size, and unit type. Use the chart to figure out the utility allowance and add up the amounts. This screen is the Dakota County CDA's current utility allowance schedule. How much rent will I pay? You must pay between 30 and 40% of your monthly adjusted income. The CDA calculates your total tenant payment amount, TTP, after verifying the information on your application. Your TTP is the greater of 30% of your monthly adjusted income, 10% of monthly gross income, or the minimum TTP of $50. You may have to pay more than your TTP if you choose a unit that costs more than the payment standard for the bedroom size on your voucher. What is the maximum rent I can pay? You cannot pay more than 40% of your adjusted income towards rent and utilities. The CDA will not approve a unit if it goes over this limit. Is my unit affordable? Add the utility allowance for the specific unit to the contract rent for the unit. If this total goes over the maximum rent limit for the region the unit is in, the unit is not affordable. You can find out if the landlord is willing to reduce the rent to make it affordable. Side payments are prohibited. If you select a unit with a bedroom size smaller than your voucher, you must use the smaller payment standard. The utility allowance is based on the lesser of the actual size of your unit or the number of bedrooms on your voucher. Request for tenancy approval. Sign and date the back page on the line below your printed name. Add your phone number. This form must be returned by 4:30 p.m. on the 15th of the month before you want your assistance to start. This can be faxed to the CDA. Assistance documents. If the RTA is approved, the CDA mails contract paperwork directly to your landlord. Payments to the landlord cannot begin until they are returned. The landlord has 60 days to return the signed contracts and a copy of the 12-month lease that matches the effective date of the housing assistance. At the same time the landlord is sent the contract paperwork, you will be mailed the rent allocation sheet. Keep this letter, as you can use this letter as proof of your rental portions. All participants are required to sign a 1-year lease. Maximum rent limit. Based on your verified income, please review what has been determined to be 30% and 40% of your income and your maximum rent limit. After review, please sign and date the form. Next steps. Locate an affordable rental unit. For vacancy listings, visit this website. Return the RTA no later than 4:30 p.m. on the 15th of the month before you want your assistance to begin. Cooperate with the inspection. It will take place on the first business day of the month. If you have questions, read through your participant handbook. Tips for success. Select a unit at or below your eligible payment standard. Use the rent worksheets and determine if the unit is affordable. Find a unit that suits all of your needs, location, amenities, and services. Get started early. Be prepared. Bring your RTA with you when looking at rental units. This concludes the Dakota County CDA's HUD-VASH briefing. If you have any questions, please contact your representative at the Dakota County CDA.